going to take a look now at some dramatic population shifts that are underway here in the United States. Now, according to U.S. Census data from 2000 until 2010, 5 Western states grew at more than twice the national pace. Now, California had its smallest growth ever over that period, and the Northeast states had less than half the nation's average level of growth. By the way, that average level of growth was 9.7%. Now, what do these numbers mean for the economy and for your investments? Well, joining us now is Joel Kotkin. He is author of The Next 100 Million, America in 2050. And Joel, welcome, by the way, to Street Smart. Great to have you. Interesting book you've written, and the impact on the economy, or the economy's impact, I suppose, on migration is really how it works. And I want to talk to you a little bit about just how wide the disparity is between living, say, in a place like New York versus living in Texas.
Well, what you've had over the last 10 years, and it continues today, is a considerable migration from, generally speaking, the lower tax, lower regulation states receiving people, and the high tax, high regulation states sending people. And of course, one of the biggest factors is home prices. You can move, let's say, from, New York, the suburbs of New York, to the suburbs of Houston, and maybe make $300,000-400,000 right there by just the price of housing. And that seems to be driving things. There was a period at the height of the recession where migration had pretty well slowed, but now it's speeding up again. And again, it's places like Texas and Florida that are really beginning to cash in.
Now, Joel, what's interesting is, before I actually read through some of the books, skimmed through it, I would have thought that during the worst economic times is when you'd see people really pressured to move to places where their cost of living was significantly lower. But it's actually sort of the reverse.
Well, it's really when people begin to think, first of all, there actually are jobs in some places. When people feel that they can sell their homes, I think what was happening is people were also holding on to their homes, saying, well, in a couple of years, I'll get a higher price. And now they realize the price they're going to get is the price they're going to get. And if they're going to sell, move down to Florida, move to Texas, and make a nice profit, even though you're not making quite as much as you thought you were in 2006, 2007.
Now, is there a critical point when we look at, we talk a lot here about, of course, economic data? Jobless claims, for instance, were released this morning. Weekly jobless claims much stronger than expected. What does that say? Is there a critical point at which we actually start to see migration pick up?
Yeah, I think we're sort of at the beginning of that point. We're really back to the pattern of about 2001, 2002. I think it's going to be a while till we're at 2005, 2006, and the patterns will change. Some states will be stronger than they were in the last round, and some states will be weaker. But the idea that you can now go somewhere, buy an affordable house, get a decent job, get a new start on your life, that's part of an economic rebound, which is, again, still pretty small, but is gaining a little bit of momentum.
Now, from a pure investing perspective, and I know this is something that really isn't covered in the scope of the book, but as you think about the demographics that's most likely to migrate and the places they're most likely to migrate to, is there anything that looks potentially like an opportunity?
Well, there's no question in my mind that the great opportunity right now is probably in the state of Florida, because the state of Florida had some very rough times, very low prices. But you know what? The weather's still warm. The beaches are still nice. And the state is starting to get its act together in terms of business, in terms of diversifying its economy. And right now, it's very, very lowly valued. Housing prices are very low, and the business climate is quite good. So I would say Florida is probably the great opportunity right now in the U.S. Texas, of course, has been strong and has been the champion performer all the way through. But I would say Florida is really the place I would look.
All right, Joel, very interesting stuff. You should definitely read the book. Thank you for joining us, by the way.
Thank you.
That was Joel Kotkin, author of The Next 100 Million, coming to us live from our L.A. bureau.